Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining me. Welcome to Practical Insights, the podcast where we dive deep into topics that empower you with practical knowledge and skills. I'm your host, Francis Kabungo, and today we are diving into one of the most essential topics in public speaking, that is focusing on your audience. Before we go much further, what do I mean exactly when I say focus on your audience? Well, this just means considering their needs, their interests and perspectives to tailor your message and delivery effectively. So it involves understanding who they are, what they care about, and what they want to take away from your message. Well, so whether you are stepping up to the mic at a conference, giving a presentation at work, or even just making a heartfelt toast at your best friend's wedding, the key to a successful speech is making sure your message really connects with the people listening to you. So you see, public speaking isn't just about delivering information, it's about creating a moment, building a connection, and leaving your audience with something memorable. So today, we are going to explore how to keep your focus on your audience in a practical way, ensuring that what you say lands exactly as you intend. And well, before we begin, I would like to point out that this is part 2 of the 5-part series on mastering public speaking. In part 1, we dove deep into how to prepare, and so if you're interested in knowing, you can just listen to the first episode, the episode above this one. Alright, let's get into it. Okay, since we are going into detail now, I saw it fit that we start by knowing why it's so important to focus on the audience. In short, we'll be discussing why focusing on your audience really matters. So one may say, why should I study the audience? My message is important and it will do the whole magic. I won't even have to try making the audience interested in it. Well, hold your thought and just imagine yourself at a concert. The band is playing all your favorite songs, but the lead singer never once looks at the crowd. They're just focused on their guitar or looking off into the distance. How would you feel? Disconnected, right? That's exactly what happens when you don't focus on your audience during a speech. So now let's try to break down why this is so important, focusing on the audience. The first thing learning your audience does is ensure engagement. If your audience feels like you are talking directly to them, they're going to stick with you. They'll be nodding along, soaking in your words, and even sharing your message long after you've left the stage. The other importance of studying the audience is that it builds connection with them. You know, people are drawn to speakers who show they care. You can make an effort to understand and address your audience's needs. You are not delivering a speech, you are creating a bond. And the last but not the least of the importance I would like to point out is effectiveness. Ultimately, your speech's success hinges on how well your audience receives it. Focusing on them helps you craft a message that truly resonates, leading to more impactful and memorable moments. So now that we know why it's so important to focus on the audience, let's get into understanding the audience. So how do you begin to understand your audience? Well, it all starts before you ever step up to the microphone or stand up to speak. Understanding your audience is like having a secret weapon. It's what transforms a good speech into a great one. So here are a few things to think about when it comes to understanding your audience. So understanding the audience first and foremost involves knowing their demographics. Who's in your audience? What's their age, background, profession? Knowing this helps you tailor the message in a way that feels relevant and relatable. You don't want to pop a sex joke when talking to an elderly audience, right? Or a formal event, unless, of course, you are a stand-up comic. Secondly, it involves knowing their psychographics. This will involve asking yourself questions like, what are their values, beliefs, and attitudes? Are they more traditional or do they embrace change? This insight can guide your tone and your approach. So another thing that's important about understanding the audience is knowing their needs and understanding their expectations. So what are they hoping to get from your talk? Are they there for advice, inspiration, or maybe a bit of entertainment? Speak to what they are looking for and you have their full attention. So the last but not the least on understanding the audience is understanding the context and the environment in which you are giving the speech. So the setting really matters too. Are you in a formal boardroom, a casual conference, or an outdoor event? The context will influence how you engage with your audience. Once you've got a good read on who you are speaking to, it's time to tailor your message to fit. Think of it like cooking a meal. You want to use the right ingredients that will appeal to the taste buds of your guests, right? So here is how you can do that. Use audience-centric language. Dish the jargon unless you are sure everyone in the room is fluent in it. Keep your language clear and relatable, making sure everyone can follow along. Address their concerns. What's on their minds? What questions might they have? If you can address this proactively, you are showing that you are in tune with them, which can build trust. Incorporate relevant examples. Storytelling isn't just for novels. Use it in your speech. Share examples that resonate with your audience's experiences. It makes your message stick. Engage with questions. Don't just talk at your audience. Talk with them. Pose questions, invite opinions, or get them involved in a quick poll. It's a great way to keep them engaged and make your speech interactive. Alright, so you've prepared with your audience in mind, but how do you keep that focus once you're up there delivering your speech? Let's talk about some techniques. So, make eye contact. Ever had a conversation where the other person just couldn't meet your eyes? It feels distant, right? Of course, it's culturally dependent, but for most people, eye contact is a powerful way to create a connection. It shows you are confident and engaged. Adjust based on your feedback. Your audience will give you feedback in real time through their body language, facial expressions, even their fidgeting. If you notice people looking confused or restless, adjust based on feedback. Your audience will always give you feedback in real time. It can be through their body language, their facial expressions, even their fidgeting. If you notice people looking confused or restless, don't be afraid to adjust. Clarify your points, slow down or ramp up the energy. Be mindful of your pace. You don't want to rush through your speech and leave your audience in the dust, but you also don't want to drag it out. Find a comfortable pace that gives your audience time to absorb and understand what you are saying. So use pauses effectively. Pauses are your friend. They give your audience a moment to reflect on what you've just said, and they can also add emphasis to your key points. Plus, they give you a moment to breathe and collect your thoughts. Another one is involve the audience. Keep things lively by asking questions, inviting opinions, or using interactive elements like quick pause. This not only keeps your audience engaged, but also allows you to engage how well they are following along. So those are some of the things that you can make use of, some of the knowledge you can make use of when it comes to focusing on your audience as a way of effective public speaking. So now let's talk about some pitfalls and how to avoid them. So we know that even the best speakers can sometimes lose focus on their audience. So here are some of the common pitfalls and how you can steer clear of them. Number one common pitfall is overloading with information. It's tempting to cram in as much info as possible, but this can overwhelm your audience. Stick to the key points and support them with engaging stories and or examples. So ignoring your audience's feedback is another common pitfall. If you are too locked into your script, you might miss important cues from your audience. So stay flexible and ready to adapt if you notice your audience drifting. And another one is speaking to yourself. Don't fall into the trap of speaking as if you are the only one in the room. Remember, your goal is to communicate with them, not just deliver a monologue and get the head out of there. So another one is lack of preparation. When you are underprepared, it's easy to get flustered and lose your audience. take the time to prepare thoroughly so you can focus on engaging your audience, not just remembering what to say next. So I'll close this one by talking about some of the practical exercises to improve audience focus. So we've talked about how we can understand why it's important to understand the audience. We've talked about some of the techniques we can use on focusing on the audience when we want to improve in terms of focusing on the audience. And now some of the exercises that we can do in order to improve the focus, like in order to improve on how we can focus on the audience, how we can engage the audience, and or how we can make people we are talking to feel our presence and feel seen. So the first and foremost is practice with feedback. So you can do this by rehearsing your speech in front of a small group and ask for honest feedback on how well you connected with them. So you can pay attention to your eye contact, body language, and how you responded to their non-verbal cues. Another one is record and review. This is really recommended. So recording yourself is a great way to catch things you might miss in the moment. Watch the playback to see how you are engaging an imaginary audience and make adjustments if needed. And believe me, you will find it is going to be very awkward, and you will find a lot of mistakes when you use this method. It is highly effective. So another one is mindfulness techniques. Staying present is also key to focusing on your audience. You try some simple mindfulness exercises before your speech, like deep breathing or a quick mental check-in to help center yourself. And last and not the least is engagement drills. Practice including your audience in your speech, whether it's asking rhetoric questions or imagining how they might respond. This will make your delivery more interactive. So this marks the end of this episode on Mastering Public Speaking Part 2, which was focusing on the audience. We know that focusing on your audience is really what separates a good speech from a great one. It's not just about what you say, but how you make your audience feel. We are emotional beings, of course, apart from being religious, sexual, and all other things beings. By taking the time to understand who they are, the audience, tailoring your message, and using these techniques to stay engaged, you can turn any speaking opportunity into a moment of genuine connection. So, this is where I end. Thanks for tuning into Practical Insights. If you found today's episode helpful, please share it with someone who might benefit, and don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode. Remember, public speaking isn't just about delivering a message, it's about creating a moment. Until next time, keep practicing, stay focused, and make every word count. Kudos.